Well, hello everyone, and welcome to English 101 at Muskegon Community College. This is an online class whose designation is S06X. I kind of feel like that's like a MI5 designation, or like James Bond's 007. What class are you in? I'm in S06X. Not sure what the X means there, but welcome to my class. So immediately, you're probably looking behind me and you will see toys. This is my closet office. It's kind of hard to back up and show you what's here, but it's a bifold door closet that I put my monitors into. Ever since COVID, remember when this all started last March, and so this is their playroom slash sleeping quarters when they come to visit us. We have 3 grandchildren, my wife Mary and I. We have Jackson, who is 5, Eli, who is 3, and our most recent one is Violet, who just turned 4 months about a week and a half ago. But again, I digress. Welcome to class. So this is just a short video orientation. Now, I should say from the outset, this class is entirely online, and it is what we call asynchronous, and I'll talk about that a little bit more later. So if you're expecting Zoom meetings, no Zoom meetings here, which is both good and bad depending on the kind of style of learner you are. Now, obviously, I'm a classroom guy. I like to be in the classroom. That's where I want to be. But again, since last March, this has been the environment we've all been relegated to. The good news is that it looks like we're going to be back in seats, physical seats again this fall. So I want to walk you through our Blackboard page and show you what our first week looks like. And at that point, I think you should decide if this is something you want to continue with. And again, I'll talk about that a little bit more later. So let's just open up our Blackboard page, which will be available. And you can take a look and peruse everything and decide if this is really the class you want to be in. So let's switch screens. So here we are. This is our Blackboard course page. Now I'm showing it to you from my perspective, instructor view, which is a little bit different, but I'll walk you through some of these areas here. So here is our welcome and also my instructor page and announcements. There's probably nothing in there right now. We'll take a peek. This is where anything that I think of you would check for. Here is our course syllabus. So I usually try to provide things in at least 2 formats. Here it's already printed, or I should say as text on the screen. I also present it as a docx for those who are using screen readers, and a PDF, which loads faster for some people. Here is our class schedule. So this shows you how our 7-week course unfolds. It's actually 8 when we count exam week. So these 2 are important if you're looking for answers or looking for information to answer your questions. One thing you'll hear me say a lot, if you haven't already, well, you haven't already because we just started, but you'll probably hear me say this a lot throughout the course, and that is, it's on the syllabus. Students got this for me a few years ago because they heard me say that so much. But let's talk about the structure of the course. I'm going to open up the weekly folder and I'm going to talk a little bit about how long you have to do your work. So again, this is a 7-week class, but the thing is, this is a kind of concentrated version of English 101. We normally have 15 days, 3 times 5, to do this work. So in an 8-week class, I want you to know this right from the get-go, you will be doing twice the number of assignments per week in order to meet those requirements. And these are requirements that come from the English department. It's just not Todd trying to put a lot of pressure on you or anything like that. So you have to decide very quickly if you want to do a concentrated, condensed 7-week course. Now, there are some good news items in here as well. And so the first thing I want to say is that Our week always will start on Monday, okay? Monday at about usually 7 a.m., 8 a.m., I post all the week's work. But here's the cool thing. You have until Sunday to complete your work. So anything in the weekly folder, it opens on Monday, it's not due until Sunday. Kind of neat. In fact, I teach all my online classes this way. I also teach for GRCC. So how many days does that give you to do your work? Do the math. 7 days to do your assignments. Now, here's the kicker in that. A lot of people will say, hey, that's fine. I'll just wait till Sunday morning or something like that to do my work. You can't do that. You must participate at least 3 days on Blackboard, on our course Blackboard page. So maybe on one day you'll submit your discussion board posts. That would take care of one. On another day, you could submit your replies to other students. That could be another day. Maybe on another day, you submit an essay first draft or an assignment or something along those lines. Now, obviously, you can participate as many days as you want. In fact, I encourage you to go in and do something every day. It'll make the load much lighter for you. If you wait till the last 3 days, which would be like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you're going to have a big load of work to do. But you must participate on Blackboard at least 3 days a week. So again, you have 7 days. Remember, it starts on Monday, ends on Sunday. So that makes it easy. You never have to worry about when is this due, when is that due. It's always going to be Sunday. It is 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Anything that comes in after that, even if it's a minute late, it's going to be considered late. And we'll talk about late work in a little bit as well. Let's go and open a weekly folder and look at that. So I've run through the first 3 items here. You'll see we have weekly assignments, and I'm going to open that next. Right now, you'll only see week 1. I'm an instructor, you see the other weeks. I only open up 1 week at a time. And I do that because if I open them all, it's overwhelming. There's almost too much work to do. So in the weekly folders, you will see a little introduction. Here's one from me talking about our course. And I want to talk about what asynchronous means. So what asynchronous means is that we have no scheduled class meetings, no Zoom meetings. There is one beginning to the week, again, which is on Monday, one end to the week, which is on Sunday, and you can do all your work in between those days. So we don't meet, we don't have required meetings or anything along those lines. This is basically what we call asynchronous. In other words, it means it's not synced or coordinated with a clock and those kinds of things. Now, I want to highlight this again. It is a 7-week course, but it contains all the work as a 15-week course does. It will mean a tremendous amount of writing. You're going to be looking at 5 to 7 writing-based assignments. Not all of them will be essays, of course, but there'll be 5 to 7 assignments per week. So be honest with yourself. Are you going to be diligent enough to do that? Now, I know COVID has changed all of us. And I'll be honest with you, in some cases, I lose about half the class over the semester just because they are unable to keep up with the work in an online setting. The nice thing is if we were meeting in class, we'd meet twice a week. We'd have a lab time during that as well. And it kind of forces you into doing the work, but this is entirely on your own. So be honest with yourself. You won't hurt my feelings if you drop or decide to wait till the fall to take this course. Again, you have 7 days to complete all the items in the folder. People always ask me, can I wait till the last day to do it? No, you really can't. And you wouldn't want to, because to complete those items, not only would it not be possible in some cases, but the amount of stress you would put on yourself would be enormous. And certainly we don't want to increase stress, not during COVID. We've all been through that enough already. And if anything, we're hopefully turning the corner where we can see each other in class again very, very shortly. So you'll see the rest of the items here laid out. Some of these coordinate to our schedule. Anything in the letter coordinates to that. I do have a short video for you to watch, top 10 ways to improve your writing. This is a video I've made over years. I've been teaching for a long, long time and writing for about the same amount of time and editing as well. And students always ask me like, writing is so hard. How can I become a better writer? And so I kind of boiled it down to 10 things I've noticed over the course of my teaching. And I think that if you can master these 10 things, it will make you a better writer. By the way, I make a joke in here about stop the steal. And I'm not someone who actually believes the election was stolen in that presentation. I was just sort of making a sarcastic point. But you'll understand that more when you look at that presentation, top 10 ways to improve your writing. The first thing we have is a syllabus scavenger hunt. When you go to this, it is actually a little quiz that you can take. And you can keep taking this over and over again until you've got all the right answers. So if you didn't get, 9 out of 10, go back and do it again until you do. It's something that I advise people to do with the syllabus open. So if you're like me, if you have 2 monitors, which is really nice, you should do that. Or maybe you keep 2 devices open if you have that ability. Our second item is our reading. So we are reading chapters 6 and 7 for this week. And where is our reading? Again, everything is on our Blackboard page. Here's our textbook. And I have it again as a docx or as a PDF. We do have an optional book, which is a pocket style manual. It is optional, so you do not have to buy it. There are no textbook costs associated with this. I won't open this because it takes a while to load. If you actually wanted to print the chapters, I think the longest one is maybe 10 pages, so you could certainly do that if that's the way you like to roll. And again, that is over here under textbooks. So chapters 6 and 7 deal with our first essay, which is a narrative descriptive essay. Chapter 6 is on narration, and chapter 7 is on description. So I'm going to go back into our weekly folder and show you just a couple other things going on. Now, as you complete items, I've also put in a mark reviewed button. So as soon as you've actually read this, you can go and you'll see something a little different than what I have. You can click mark reviewed. This is so that you can keep track of the items in the folder. Now you should do them in order. I put them in order for a reason, from beginning to end, from top to bottom. But as you finish them, if you forgot where you left off, you can always check in. You'll see mark reviewed. Here's that video presentation. Syllabus scavenger hunt, reading. And we're going to talk a little bit about discussion board. So discussion board really takes the place of that in-class discussion with a partner, people at your table, where you communicate with other people, which if you've been taking classes for a while, has been extremely difficult during COVID. When I was doing some classes, I was able to set up some chat rooms, but with this class, because it's asynchronous, we don't have that ability. So discussion board is an easy way for us to chat with each other, and especially for students to chat with each other, which is really the goal of discussion board. So let me show you how that operates. So discussion board, usually we have what are called 2 threads. So we have 2 threads for this week. You'll read a story from the Moth Radio Hour and write about that. And then you'll also read or listen to a story from StoryCorps and respond to that. So how do you do that? So when you post a discussion board, it's very important that you create an initial post that's at least 100 words. Now, that's not very much. That's kind of a medium-sized paragraph when you think about it. But you can certainly go a little bit more if you want to. But I would say, after about 200 words or so, that's plenty. You don't want to go much further than that. But to post, what you'll do is you'll go in and click the link above here. And then you can see I've already put a test in here. But what you'll do is you'll go on here and create thread. So I'm going to do that. And I'm just going to put in test 2. But typically with our first discussion board, what I ask you to do is to put in the name of the story that you're reading so that other people who might have read the same story. And here's where you make your initial post down below. And again, it should be about 100 words here. You don't need to use MLA or anything. You just use the font choice here and everything. I do say at the end, it's important to select all your text and then go over here to the spell check tool and run that. And you can see that's fine. But when you are ready, make sure you click on submit, not cancel, or certainly not save draft. Submit actually puts it on the board. I'll just put it on there again. You'll see it'll show up. And again, this is what we call a post-first forum. So when you first go in, this will all be blank below here. Only after you create your thread will other people's items show up. Now, you also need to reply to at least 3 people for every post. So you want to go in for thread 1 and reply to 3 people, and then go in for thread 2 and reply to 3 people. And we're a small enough class, I would try to talk to everyone in the class. So kind of maybe keep track on a list or a little notepad or something so you chat with everybody or reply to them. I think that's just how we would normally operate in class. So when you're all finished, you will have 2 posts of your own and then 3 replies on each of those threads. So you should have a total of 8 posts by the time the week is finished. Now you can reply to more people, that's fine. Some people enjoy doing that. Let me show you the technique for replying to people, because that is a little different than some people are used to, and I'll explain why in a second here. So let's say you want to come in and reply to my test 2. So you're just going to click on it here. And you can see I have this real riveting thing. Now, it's going to be very tempting to just click reply. But please do not do that. Use the quote feature and watch what happens. When I use the quote feature, it's looking a little strange right now. But what it actually does is it gives me the opportunity to reply based on what your text was. Let me just refresh this a minute. All right, so let's see if I can do this again. Well, the window you'll get will look a little different. Oh, here now it's doing it correctly. So here's my message, which is going to load a little bit slowly, I think. Yeah, here we go. Notice how it says, or it posts my text here. So now when I reply, I can say something like, "Hi Todd, that's a very interesting post you made." And I always say you need at least 5 sentences. You want to avoid things like "good job" or "I like this," unless you explain that more specifically. And then again, you'll click submit. I'm going to click submit here. So you can see now, here's the initial post I made, and this is what's showing up as a reply. If you are new to discussion board, you'll figure it out pretty quickly. But again, use the quote feature. And this takes the place of our in-class discussions. Again, we don't have that opportunity. So this is about the best way we can pull it off online. And you can do this at any time of the day. So if you work, which a lot of you do, you want to do this in the evening or the morning or the weekend, you can go in and chat with people. It's very important that you read people's replies. If you don't take the time to read people's replies, you're not really engaging with the class. And we want you to do that as much as you can. That's really important. A couple more things. Let's go back again into our weekly assignment folder. So we've gone through the first 3 items now. and I want to talk about our first essay. So this will be our first draft, and usually what you'll do, every week you'll be doing a first draft and a final draft. Now the first week, obviously you're just doing a first draft. And again, this is because we've condensed the class in half. So when normally we would have those due on separate weeks, you'll always have at least a first draft and a final draft due almost every week. There might be a couple exceptions out there. So in this particular essay, I won't go through all of this. You'll get instructions, which are up here. And again, I put that in a Word format as well as PDF. The rubric, this is how you are scored, again, in Word format and PDF. And if I can, I'll pop in a sample essay. So this is one I wrote with my students a few years back. It's My Dad Wants to Shoot Your Dogs. Don't worry, no dogs were shot. I was just speaking out of turn, and you'll get the punchline later on. When you're ready for a first draft, you're going to submit it to a peer group. And I won't go into all the details because you can read these, but you find the peer groups over here. Oops. And as you go in, you want to make sure you select the right groups. You see they're in alphabetical order, but this is a narrative essay. So to join a peer group, what you do is you'll go in, you'll click on that, and you can join the group. Now, the screen looks a little bit different than yours, but then when you're ready to submit your first draft, you're going to submit it on Blackboard to me as well, but you're going to click File Exchange. And you can see there's nothing in there right now, but I'll just put a test in here. And where it says name, you want your name and then your essay. So I'm going to put in here, My Dad Wants to Shoot Your Dogs. And then I'm going to click Submit. I'm not going to do that now because I don't really have a file. But then you'll browse the local files on your computer, and you can go to whatever folder they happen to be in, how you do your workflow, and connect it here and then submit it. So peer evaluations are very important. Again, in class, what we do is we take physical copies and we hand one out here, another one over here, and it's much less cumbersome to do. But because we're doing it online, we need to submit it online. And then we'll talk next week about what you're going to do with those peer evaluate or those essays when you write peer evaluations. If I go back to our weekly folder, I guess I could just use my back arrows here. Sorry, my internet is moving a little slower. So you're going to submit it to your peer group, but you also submit it here. So if you're ever wondering where to submit something, always go up to the title. If you see a hand up here, so you're going to submit it to me as well, because I need to take a quick look at it as well. If you have any questions, this is a little discussion board area I put up for questions. I tell people if you have a question, put the whole question into the subject box so that you can share it with the class so that I'm not answering the same question over and over again. So this is one. If you go back in here, you'll see that there are several assignments. There's always introduction. There's a video or two usually, the quiz. You're reading, you have to submit some exercises from the textbook. Again, here's the link. Some discussion boards and a first draft. So I know a lot of this probably seems overwhelming, and I'm certainly patient for the first week or so as people get adjusted to the environment. If you're already a seasoned veteran at this, then you probably already know how to do a number of these online assignments in this environment. But it is a lot to consider. So if this seems like it's not your style, or you'd rather wait to the fall when there's an in-person class, in-seat class, or you're not maybe, as someone who's a recovering procrastinator, you don't feel like you could handle the assignments in this course, then I would consider, whether or not you really want to do it. Obviously, I want all of you in my class. This is what I do for a living. I've been doing it for over 36 years now, and have a lot of experience and fun times I can share with you, as well as some great writing tips and advice. But I also understand we're all a little bit different in terms of COVID and understanding this environment. And the last thing I would say is that each week I will post at least one video. It usually is just an overview, but I have several sometimes I'll post. Please watch the videos. The videos are important because I think a lot of people think they're optional. They'll skip them, but don't. There are things that I can explain or make clear that if you didn't understand because you didn't watch the video, you know, you're missing out. And by the way, I take time to make all these videos, and I know they're kind of corny, but I'll be sad if you don't read my videos. Anyways, so welcome again to class. Again, my name is Todd Soul. This is English 101 S06X. And I look forward to the semester we have together. And if you have any questions, please feel free to email me and I'll get back to you, usually within about a day. Take care, everyone.